Hello, my name is Shreyans, and this is a series on developing your equity research process. Up till now, we've discussed about the whole process that we're going to follow, right? And also a little bit about the financial statements. This time around, I want to get started with forensics, but before that, slight discussion on the importance of notes to accounts and how should we be approaching them. So let's get started. All right. Now, I feel that notes to accounts are actually the most important part of the financial statements, right? Not the PL or the BS or the cash flow or the changes in equity, but notes to accounts are the most important ones. And we'll have a look at why. Now, the first thing here with notes to accounts are the details of accounting policy. So usually the first note of any company's financial statements would have the description of all the accounting policies that are being applied by the company, right? So this is what would initially help you to understand how the accounting of the company has been done and if it has been done as per the accounting standards or the financial reporting standards. Now, of course, for that, you need to have some basic understanding of the accounting standards. But even if you don't, that's okay because you could read the company's accounting policies, you could look up online and understand how any standard should be applied. And then you can slightly at least evaluate if it has been applied in a fair manner. Now, the second one is where the bulk of our work would be, which is the breakdown of the line items of financial statements. So on the balance sheet or on the profit and loss statement, what you would have is the single line items, the breakdown of which or the details of which would be given in the notes to accounts. So for example, breakdown of revenue or breakdown of any of the expenses or the breakdown of assets or the breakdown of financial instruments, all of this would be given in the notes to accounts. So what would really happen is that when you would be going through the P&L or the balance sheet, you would have certain observations that, okay, this is increasing, this is decreasing, this is the broad trend. And you would have certain questions, right? That why is this increasing? What is it driven by, right? And what are the contributors? What are the components? And most of the answers, at least from a quantitative perspective, you'd get in the notes to accounts along with the comparative and common size statements, right? So you'd get the breakdown of revenue, you'd get the breakdown of expenses, you'd see the different asset categories that are there, how financial instruments are held, what are the source of borrowings, so on and so forth, right? So this is where you'd find a lot of information. And then based on the breakdowns that you've understood and identified the drivers, then you can move on to understanding the company and analyzing that, okay, the changes in revenue are driven by the change in a particular product sales or something like that. And then you can identify that what are the business aspects or the operational aspects that are driving the changes in that particular product that are driving the changes in the overall revenue, right? So similarly, we can identify the important areas. So we can move from the financial statements to the notes to accounts, and then from the notes to accounts to the business or the qualitative perspective. And the third thing is additional disclosures, right? So on the face of financial statements, they're not all the disclosures present, but when you come down to the notes, you would have details of the accounting policies, and along with that, there'd be any disclosures about any sort of commitments or any sort of estimates or accounting policies that have been used, so on and so forth. So that would help you to gain an even better understanding of why the numbers are being reported in such a manner. I wanted to discuss about notes to accounts before forensics for this reason as well, because a large part of forensics would also involve going to certain aspects of the notes to accounts and looking at the policies as well, right? So as I discussed earlier, I would request you to prepare the different notes to accounts in your Excel workbook as well. If you feel that certain notes are related, you can prepare them in the same tab. But for the different types of notes, it's better if we prepare them in different tabs so that we can write down our analysis and observations then and there only. And preparing in Excel is important because we would need to invariably come back every now and then, and it doesn't make sense if we look at the PDF files or if we go online to see, okay, what is the breakdown. So it's best if we have the information at hand, right? There might be anywhere between 25 to 45 notes to accounts, depending on the company, the complexity, right? And so it might take you one day to bring them out all onto the Excel, but it is well worth it. All right. So now let's move on to the forensic checks. And this time around, I just want to lay the foundation of why do we really need to do forensics. And in the next one, we'll talk about the various ratios that we can use in order to do the forensics actually. So now what we see are numbers, right? In the financial statements, the numbers everywhere. And when we see numbers, we feel that, okay, we feel confident that these are just numbers. They should be objective, right? There should be no ambiguity with respect to these numbers, right? And we can take them as certain, right? But there's a problem with that because behind the numbers are accounting policies, right? There are certain accounting policies that need to be followed that lead to the numbers that we see. Now, within the accounting policies, there are several options with respect to certain items as well. For example, investments can be held in different ways, right? Or depreciation can be applied using different policies, which might lead to changes in asset values. So there are different options with respect to certain categories in order to aid fair disclosure on part of the companies, right? And there are a lot of areas that require judgment as well, right? So there are a lot of areas, for example, a lot of times companies have to adjudge that uh, should this construction be classified from capital work in progress to an asset, right? Or something like at what point should revenue be recognized and things like that. So there are a lot of judgments that are also involved, even in things like provisioning or so on and so forth, right? And these two invariably lead to subjectivity, right? Because there are a lot of things that are at the discretion of the management on how they really want to show in the financial statements or how they really want to report certain items, right? So we also need to understand that these options, all right, these alternatives exist because different companies have different business models, right? And in order to ensure that companies have the choice or have the flexibility to report it as closely as it is to the economic perspective or the real business perspective, that is why these alternatives exist in the accounting policies. But obviously, these can also be very easily misused by the management, which might lead to numbers that we see and we think are objective to be actually biased, right? Which might be that instead of using a certain policy or a certain option, they use something else just to show a better picture, although it's not a very big problem. Or it could be misleading, right? Certain things should have been reported under a certain category or a certain principle, but it was reported in an entirely different way, which might be different from its economic underlying reality, right? Or outright fraudulent, right? A lot of financial statements that cannot be trusted at all. And this is invariably what happens when there is some sort of fraud going on in the company, right? By anyone. Now, also the important thing to understand here is that uh, all the numbers cannot be 100% fair or 100% true, but it is also not the case that if just a company has made a small choice to show it in a particular manner, that doesn't mean that it is again misleading or fraudulent. So it is not black and white completely, but there are lots of shades of gray that we need to be comfortable operating with. And these forensic checks would help us to understand these certain aspects. So how would they help us? First, it would help us to evaluate the quality of financial reporting, right? So high quality financial reporting means that all the accounting standards are being applied to reflect the economic reality of the business and obviously in accordance with whatever the standards state, right? The second thing is that how much can you rely on financial statements? Because high quality financial reporting means that you can rely well on the financial statements, but low quality financial reporting means that you might have to do a lot of primary research. You might have to dig down very deep in order to have a reasonable understanding of the business, and it will require a lot more effort, right? So better quality can reduce some bit of your effort, but you should not be complacent with respect to that. And the third thing is identification of potential red flags. So you could call them red flags, which might mean there's something wrong that's going on there, or just red flags in the way that, okay, there seems to be something wrong going on here. So I might need to go in depth, go into detail to understand that why is the reason that a certain metric is being reported in a certain way. So this is how basically forensic checks help us. The underlying thing is to assess the quality of financial reporting, based on which we can decide how much we want to rely on the financial statements and how deep do we really need to go down in order to have a reasonable understanding of the business and identify areas that require substantial research and substantial effort from our side. Now, there are two resources that I would like to share on forensic accounting. There is a whole course on fraud as well, but for a normal investor, for a normal analyst, these resources would be sufficient. So there is this book called Financial Shenanigans, which is written by Howard Schillet, who in many ways is the pioneer of forensic accounting and identifying shenanigans in listed companies. And there is this webinar by Marcellus Investment Managers, which is a PMS in India. And they have also actually based their forensic accounting approach based on the book Financial Shenanigans. So if you're really serious about understanding how companies can manipulate their accounts, then Financial Shenanigans is a must-read book. And Marcellus's approach to forensic accounting is also a really helpful resource that you can look at. All right, so this is all that I wanted to share for the time being. I hope you were able to understand the importance of notes to accounts and also how you can approach forensic accounting. In the next video, we are going to take a look at the few ratios that we can use in order to do the forensic accounting. So stay tuned for that.